The single biggest change we've seen in American higher education over the last decade is not massive open online courses or even digitization, let alone coding boot camps. The single biggest change we've seen is that about a decade ago, only 50% or so of students said that the primary or exclusive reason why they were enrolling in a higher education program related to employment or getting a job. And today that percentage is well north of 90%. So we have a new generation of students who are enrolling in higher education solely or primarily for the purpose of getting a job. At the same time, we have a system of colleges and universities who are as independent from the workforce and who are as disconnected from employers as they were a decade ago. And that situation is changing quickly and needs to change. It's changing in a couple of ways. For students who are currently in higher education institutions studying degree programs, we're seeing the emergence of last-mile training providers, these intermediaries who are providing students with the technical, primarily technical, skills that employers are seeking. Technical skills now outnumber cognitive and non-cognitive skills in employer job descriptions in virtually every sector of the economy in America now. And of course, students who don't have those requisite technical skills are effectively invisible to employers because they're simply not making it past the application tracking system, or ATS, keyword-based filters that employers utilize to filter and manage the hundreds of applications they get for every open position. So these last-mile training providers are providing students with coding skills, other technical skills, sales skills that employers are seeking to consider them for employment. In the longer term, we see the emergence of competency marketplaces, which will usher in the change from degree and pedigree-based hiring, which we currently have now, to a competency-based hiring model. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, if you have a LinkedIn profile, today your LinkedIn profile is a summation of your experience in education. Now imagine if that profile actually detailed your competencies. And by competencies, I don't simply mean hard and technical skills. I mean critical thinking, abilities, problem solving, communication, executive function skills, really anything that determines success in a career across any profession. Now, if you had a competency profile like that, you would be able to match it against careers that you were interested in pursuing. You'd be able to ascertain what the gap was between where you are and where you want to go. You might be able to figure out which programs of study would be most effective in helping to fill that gap and get you into the consideration set for that employment. So that's where we're heading. There are hundreds of universities and companies who are in the process of building out some version of a competency marketplace, allowing students to surface their competencies beneath the level of the terminal credential and match it to degrees. And when we have that, what we'll have is effectively is a global positioning system, or GPS, for human capital development, which will be much more effective than the system we have now, which is degree-based and where virtually half of the working population is excluded from good and desirable jobs simply because they don't have that bachelor's degree credential. So that's where we see things going. It will be a fairer system. It will be a more open system. The challenges for universities who've really had a monopoly on higher education credentials and post-secondary education credentials, and have been able to operate in splendid isolation from the demands of the workforce, that is going to change dramatically. Institutions that wish to continue to thrive and grow enrollment will need to become much more connected with the employers they're ultimately serving.